big, beautiful world.
Well, the first question is, just how bad is this Shokin guy that Biden wanted sacked? Well, according to the Washington Post fact checker, no one really liked him very much. Not America, not their Western allies, not non-government organisations like the IMF or the World Bank. Furthermore, Bloomberg says that the plan to push for Shokin's dismissal didn't even come from Biden. It came from officials at the American embassy in Kiev, and that is according to a person with direct knowledge of the situation, whoever that is. I hope it's not him. But we can find some real-time evidence for this, though. Back in 2015, Reuters then was reporting that the US ambassador had called out Shokin's office for openly and aggressively undermining reform, and Ukrainian reformers were demanding his ouster. Also, in 2016, a Ukrainian anti-corruption group called for Shokin's resignation for intimidating reformers and a failure to investigate corruption crimes, including the Burisma case, Hunter Biden's company. And in 2016, the IMF also was saying that progress was so slow in fighting Ukrainian corruption that it was hard to see how the IMF-supported program could even continue. Okay, so maybe Shokin was a terrible prosecutor and he needed to go. But surely Biden was the wrong guy to move against
a prosecutor who was investigating his son and the company that his son works for.
Absolutely, if there was an investigation. Because according to Bloomberg, when Biden made his ultimatum, the probe into Hunter Biden's company Burisma Holdings and its owner Zlochevsky had been long dormant. And not because of pressure from Americans, it was shelved by Ukrainian prosecutors in 2014 and 2015. In fact, far from being
A tough prosecutor,
as Trump claimed, Shokin took no action to pursue cases against Zlochevsky throughout 2015. But how would Bloomberg know that? Well, they spoke to Shokin's deputy Casco, who resigned in February 2016, wait for it, citing corruption and lawlessness in the Prosecutor General's office. But do we really trust Casco? In 2016 we did. When Casco resigned, the American ambassador called him a champion of reforms in the Prosecutor General's office. And they said that his resignation will interrupt the progress of reforms in Ukraine. Okay, so that guy is saying that Shokin buried the investigation. But Shokin disagrees. He told The Hill that before he was fired, he had made specific plans for the investigation that included interrogations of all members of the executive board, including Hunter Biden. Now that is interesting, because if you look back at that timeline from before, there was over a year between then and then when Shokin was around, when he could have spoken to the board or Hunter Biden if he wanted to, yet he never seemed to find the time for some reason. That is slower work than Robert Mueller. In fact, there is no evidence of Shokin doing any investigating of Burisma during this period at all, which might explain Casco quitting. But don't take my word for it. In December 2014, American officials wrote a letter warning Ukraine about negative consequences over its failure to assist the UK in investigating Zlochevsky, the Burisma case, Hunter Biden, as in America itself under Joe Biden was complaining about Ukraine not investigating his son's company. And in 2015, the American embassy was at it again, complaining that Shokin not only did not support investigations into corruption, but he undermined prosecutors working on legitimate corruption cases, singling out, you guessed it, why does he call something like Lichadello? These bloody Ukrainians. Anyway, the Zlochevsky investigation. It's the case involving Hunter Biden's company, okay? And he said Shokin sent letters to Zlochevsky's attorneys attesting that there was no case against him. This is in 2015, before Biden had done anything. And while according to Shokin, he was making specific plans to investigate them. So those US complaints go right in the middle there. And by the way, a little side, what do you think that investigation was actually about? Do you think it was about Hunter Biden being dodgy? There are a few investigations actually. There was one into the granting of exclusive gas licenses to Zlochevsky when he was a minister before 2012. And there are a few investigations into tax evasion and money laundering. And according to Lutsenko, who was the prosecutor after Shokin, the money laundering issue occurred months before Hunter Biden joined the Burisma board. And Lutsenko said Biden was definitely not involved. We do not have any grounds to think that there was any wrongdoing starting from 2014. Okay, so the Burisma dodge news didn't involve Hunter Biden. In fact, it was before he joined the board. The investigation into his company seemed to be buried by the Ukrainian prosecutor, and America specifically complained about that. And when Biden asked for the prosecutor, who was not actually investigating his son, to be sacked, people thought it was a great idea. So I really don't think
Joe Biden is the one that did a very, very bad thing.
Although there is one more little thing. Back to Red Trump.
And then he said he never spoke to his son, but then he also said long before that he did speak to his son. So he lied again.
And he's right. This is what Biden said to Fox's Pete Doocy.
How many times have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings.
But Hunter Biden told the New Yorker that Joe did discuss Burisma with him once. Joe said, I hope you know what you're doing. And Hunter said, I do. Got him! Look, I know it's not much, but Trump's having a tough week, okay? I thought I'd help him out. Apart from Biden having a son who's dodgily profiting from his career, lying to Pete Doocy is pretty much the only thing I can find that he's done wrong.
Big, beautiful world.